Hello and welcome. I'm Roger Cattell, VP of Sales here at Dundas Data Visualization, and I'll be facilitating the webinar today. First off, let me thank each of you for joining on the call today and remind you that the intent of this webinar is to provide a view of some of the latest trends in mobile usage and some of the top features that users are expecting, and then discuss some of the challenges and solutions in mobile BI, and then at the end share a brief demonstration of the Dundas BI solution in action. A tool like Dundas BI allows organizations to connect and interact and visualize with its data with unprecedented ease and functionality. Our customers have asked for a way that they can easily share information and analytics across their organization, both with the business user and the technical user. They've asked us for any device, anywhere, at any time. Here at Dundas, product development and innovation is really core to what we do. We've designed Dundas BI for mobile, so you can take your business intelligence with you on the go, sharing the value of your data both across your business and with your customers in meaningful ways. In fact, if your customers are not yet asking for a mobile way in which they can interact with the data that they have or that you have on their behalf, anticipate them doing so in the coming months. We're excited to show you our solution today. First off, I wanted to start by introducing our presenters today. Joining us on the call is Howard Dresner, Chief Research Officer for Dresner Advisory Services. Howard is a leading business intelligence expert, an author, and a former Gartner Research Fellow, and we appreciate Howard joining us on the call today. And leading our discussion around mobile solutions will be our Senior Dundas Solution Architect, Jeff Hainsworth. In terms of agenda, today's agenda is going to include the following. Let's take a look at some of the trends in mobile usage. Howard's going to review some of the key trends in mobile and the importance of mobile BI and discuss the most prioritized features. Jeff will lead us through a mobile challenge and solutions discussion, design considerations, and share a demo of the Dundas BI mobile in action. Now, there's going to be a chance to ask questions after the demo, and we'll endeavor to answer as many of them on the call today. But should you have specific needs or like a more detailed response, then we'd be happy to follow up with you directly. Just send a quick note to info@dundas.com. Also, there are a number of options for both technical and business users to allow them to get a more hands-on feel, which we can discuss after the call. But now I'm going to turn things over to Howard Dresner to get us started. Howard?
Thanks, Roger, for that introduction. Let me just take a moment and give you some background on our mobile computing and mobile business intelligence market study. This is actually our 7th annual study, so we were early on to this, and we'll be able to share some of the multi-year trends with you as we go through this. And it's a combination of the two. It's mobile computing and mobile BI, because you really have to cover some mobile computing to put mobile business intelligence in context. So I'll share a couple of slides with you very quickly just to present the mobile computing market, and then we'll get right into mobile business intelligence. So with the advent of bring your own device to work, you can see that the top platforms, and this has been for several years now, are Apple and iOS, both the iPhone and the iPad, followed by Google Android, both the smartphone and the tablet, and then it trails off very significantly after that. And then the next slide I want to talk about is still a mobile computing slide, because here we ask about all of the various applications that organizations use on their mobile devices and ask them to prioritize it. And here you see 4 years worth of data. And what's really exciting this year is that for years, certainly email has been #1, but it's always been followed by calendaring, scheduling, and contact management. And this year, for the first time, that actually changed, and business intelligence became the #2 application. So we're pretty excited. So after you do email, the next thing you do on your mobile device is business intelligence. So now let's talk about the core business intelligence capability on mobile devices. And we'll start off with a couple of word clouds because everybody likes word clouds. And we always ask our survey respondents about the benefits and some of the challenges. And here you can see the benefits of mobile business intelligence. Well, they actually exceed the challenges. But what organizations and the respondents tell us pretty consistently is they really like the fact that no matter where they are, no matter what the situation is, they can gain access to valuable insights. So walking into a customer situation or some other market-facing situation, they have the information at their fingertips. So anywhere they are, at any time, they have access to that. And that's extremely empowering. And that actually gets to a whole host of user constituents that might otherwise never have access to business intelligence. Now, of course, there are challenges as well, and the challenges have been decreasing over the years. The biggest concern that organizations tell us is that they're concerned about devices being lost or stolen and somehow information being compromised. And a lot of organizations, what they're doing is they're implementing mobile device management strategies to help mitigate against that particular risk. So let's move on and talk about the importance of mobile business intelligence. And we can see here we have 5 years worth of data. And you have to look at the scale on the right. You can see that some of this shifting around is actually relatively slight. But what we can see is it's been on an upward trajectory since 2010. And then it dipped a little bit last year. And then actually this year, or I should say the end of 2014, it jumped up again. I think there have been so many distractions that organizations have had to deal with that might explain that slight dip. But in 2014, it actually jumped up way beyond or far beyond where it had been previously. So the intent and the importance surrounding mobile BI is higher than it's ever been. And when we take a look at this by organization size, we see a classic U-shaped sort of adoption curve or importance curve here. The smallest of organizations give it the highest priority. That's because small organizations tend to be agile. They adopt technology, embrace it, and try to use it as a competitive wedge in the marketplace. And then you see that it trails off in the mid-sized organizations a little bit and then picks up again in the largest of organizations where they have more resources, certainly, but it takes them longer to actually implement it because of complexity associated with doing so. Next, we asked about cultural preparedness. In other words, how well are organizations actually integrating this into their everyday work habits and activities? And you can see that it's been increasing for the last 3 years. Organizations believe that they're more culturally prepared. They've done a better job of actually integrating this into their work habits. Now, when we look at this by function, this should come as no surprise because you see those that are the most culturally prepared and most well attuned to using mobile business intelligence are those that are the most nomadic in the organization. So executive management, and executive management, by the way, have been the real leaders surrounding or driving mobile business intelligence in most organizations, followed by sales and marketing, and in particular, salespeople, those folks that are out in customer-facing activities, very rarely are in the office. And then it trails off all the way down to finance, where you see the least cultural preparedness for mobile business intelligence. Change gears for a moment, and let's talk about the next thing, which is mobile device integration. And here we're actually looking at how users want to be able to use business intelligence in the context of their mobile device. And at the top of the list, and it continues to increase every year, is being able to use a multi-touch interface. In other words, using those fingers of yours to be able to navigate around and manipulate the data. Next is location awareness. Integration with the GPS is really important. Having the business intelligence software be aware of the activity, so context awareness. And then it trails off all the way down to Google Glass integration, which clearly our respondents didn't think was too terribly important for them. So next, we like to talk about targeted users. And we talked just a moment ago that executives have really driven mobile BI within the organization. That's actually been a really good thing because executives, once they saw the value of mobile BI, started to push it down in the organization. So you can see that executives are the top targeted users, followed by middle management, line management. It almost follows the hierarchy of the organization. But what's really interesting and exciting on the next chart here is you can see over the course of 5 years, you've seen sort of a trickle-down effect of mobile BI from the senior executives down to middle management, to line management, and so forth, which is, to my mind, really exciting. That means that we're getting further down in the organization, better penetration, more eyes on the data, more users than ever before now have access, not just to mobile business intelligence, but actually to business intelligence, because mobile devices are far more pervasive than laptops or desktop computers. Now, when we look at deployment plans through 2017, which is pretty far out there, it's pretty ambitious. These organizations are very bullish about mobile business intelligence, but I like to focus predominantly on the 12-month time frame. So you can see today, the far left of the chart, 20% of organizations, which is pretty significant, say they have no mobile BI today. If you look at the 12-month horizon, that looks pretty good. I mean, that blue bar decreases to about 5%, and even the 1 to 10% decreases in the other categories increase rather nicely. So that's a pretty aggressive plan. And when I say we like to look at 12 months, that's because typically in the 12-month horizon, planning horizon, there's budget that's been allocated, and there are projects and users that have been identified. So we may not achieve all of that over the course of the next year, but it shows real ambition and real intent to do so. And then, of course, out 24 and 36 months, that's aspirational and clearly somewhat speculative. It's not clear that organizations will get there, but clearly they want to. Now, we also ask about exclusive use of mobile BI, meaning which users will only have access to business intelligence through a mobile device, which is pretty telling. I mean, it says that increasingly there are going to be individuals that the mobile device is their primary device. And some of this is generational change. If you observe younger people that are coming into the workforce today, their mobile device is really their primary device. And when I see how my kids use mobile technology, that's clearly true. That is a primary device. It's their portal into the world. And so right now you see the expected exclusive mobile usage by 2016 is still kind of modest, but clearly you can see that it's certainly a force out there, and it's a factor. Now, if we look at this by function, this should come as no surprise. Once again, executive management and sales and marketing top the list as those that are most likely to be exclusive mobile BI users by 2016. All right, so let's move on now, and let's take a look at feature priorities. And we ask about a lot of different features, and you can see the most popular features are on the left. So viewing charts and reports, that has been the #1 category for the last 6 years. Probably not a surprise to anybody, but there's been some shifting over the last few years. And what's interesting to note is you see things like data selection and filtering, drill down navigation, KPI monitoring. Some of these things actually have changed position over the course of the last few years. And if we look at the next chart, we can actually see, once again, looking at 5 years worth of data, which is great for since we've been doing this for so long, we can see some real clear trends here. You can see that shifting. So it's actually shifting away somewhat from static viewing of reports, which is how we would have done things years ago, in favor of data selection and filtering. So more interaction, drill down navigation, also more interaction, and we shift over, more of a focus on alerts, more of a focus on things like dashboard assembly from components, more of a shift or more emphasis on things like guided analysis and drag and drop navigation. So we're seeing much more interaction than we would have seen in the past. And that to me is actually very exciting, because organizations and individuals, as they gain more experience from mobile business intelligence, they want more functionality. In fact, they want a lot of the functionality that they would have had on their desktops and their laptop computers. And it's not clear to me that we're going to get to 100% of that capability on a mobile device, although when you look at tablets and when you have more real estate, it's entirely possible that we will see a great deal of equality between these devices. So next, we just take a look very briefly at mobile versus server resident apps and data. And we have seen some shifting away from the storing data and the apps on the actual physical mobile device in favor of leaving them on a server. And the slide that I really think explains this a little bit more completely is this one here, where we take a look at the mobile applications by vertical industry. So here you can see on the left, healthcare and government in particular, where we know that there are significant restrictions in terms of downloading data and applications. They want to be primarily on the server, followed by energy and manufacturing, and quite a few industries that seem to have a preference for storing data and the applications on a server as opposed to a combination of the mobile device and the server. So that gives us sort of a snippet, if you will, or a view into the research that we've conducted. I just want to share a few conclusions with you before I turn things back over to our host for today. First and foremost, business intelligence has become the #2 app, and the importance and the usage associated with mobile business intelligence is growing. I'm not sure when mobile BI or BI will be the #1 app, beating out email. That might take a long time, if ever, but it's going in the right direction. Organizations are seeing the value of having that information at their fingertips wherever they are and whenever they need it, which to me I think is tremendously empowering. It's also exciting to see that mobile BI has been penetrating beyond senior execs. Of course, there's still the #1 targeted users and actual users of mobile BI today, but that's actually been useful in that once they understand the value, most executives want to push this down to their direct reports and the reports of their direct reports and permeate the organization with this capability because they see the power of it. And then we talked about the feature shift, shifting away from static to much more interactive. So as users become a little bit more accustomed, more comfortable, they understand the value and the power of mobile BI. Once it becomes a core part of that cultural adoption, then they want to do all the things that they used to do on their desktop or their laptops with business intelligence. They want to interact with the data, they want to see things in different ways, and they want to be able to explore. And then the last point is that, as I mentioned just a short moment ago, a significant number of organizations seem to prefer server-based data and applications over device-based units and applications, and there's been a real drive towards things like HTML5. And of course, we track it every year to see how things are moving, and I suspect we'll see even more movement in one direction or the other during 2015. So I appreciate your time and your attention today, and now I'd like to turn things back over to Jeff. Jeff?
Hello and welcome. My name is Jeff Hainsworth, and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at Dundas Data Visualization. Today I'm going to talk about mobile business intelligence. We're going to talk about current challenges that we see in mobile BI, and in line with each challenge, I'm going to show you how Dundas Dashboard addresses the challenge that I bring up. I will then demonstrate how Dundas BI Mobile works in action, including some live examples and some interesting mobile ideas that you can bring into your own practice. Additionally, we'll discuss how Dundas BI Mobile is enterprise ready. We've got quite a bit to cover, so let's get right into it. One of the biggest challenges that we face when dealing with mobile devices is all of the different possible display sizes available. Application developers actually experience the same challenge when it comes to building websites. You have an application that was built for a desktop, but your users still need to be able to view the same website on a phone. The big question with that is, how do you make one size fit all applications? With so many different display sizes, there can be a pretty dramatic difference in the amount of surface area available, depending on the device. This can potentially introduce issues like distorted content, needless scrolling, or even content that's simply too small to read because you had to shrink it down so much. The usability of mobile BI could also be pretty limited based on the layout options of the dashboard that's being created. If you're limited to certain proportions, it'll certainly hinder the usability of the dashboards on a mobile device. With Dundas BI, we offer a few options for dealing with devices of different screen sizes. Your first option, dashboards could be set up to use vector-based resizing. This means that regardless of the size of the device, your content will automatically fit to the screen that you're using. And you can see an example of this on the screen that I'm showing right now. I have a desktop to an iPad, all the way down to a phone, where the same dashboard is being displayed. Your next option is to create a pixel-perfect dashboard. If you knew, for example, that you wanted to create a dashboard that was only ever going to be used on an iPad, you could create a 1024 by 768 resolution dashboard and design it perfectly for that device. If you talk to graphics designers, you'll find arguments for using each one of those options. So it's really up to you to choose how you want to do this. Have you ever tried to open a website on a mobile device, such as a tablet or a smartphone, and it just didn't work? This is typically because websites require something called a plugin, like Flash, and that's just not supported on these devices. A current challenge to be aware of is applications that rely on plugins or native applications to view reports or dashboards. They simply don't work on mobile devices if they need those plugins. When it comes to viewing dashboards using Dundas BI, we use a technology called HTML5, which is a standard on all major browsers. This means that the content that you create will work on any modern device without the need for an installation. This is often referred to as zero footprint, meaning that there's no supporting software requirement in order to access the content that was created. HTML5 interface actually allows you to deploy all at once on all mobile platforms, such as iOS, Android, Windows, BlackBerry, without even having to develop or maintain a dedicated solution for each. With Dundas BI, providing one solution that functions on any device will basically take away all the headaches that your IT staff would get trying to worry about native applications on potentially dozens of different devices that employees could bring in. With HTML5, all you have to do is pass an appropriate URL to the end user and let them bookmark it in their browser. That's all it takes. As little as 5 years ago, just being able to get a picture of a key performance indicator or KPI in a visualization on a mobile device was a pretty exciting prospect for a lot of users. I know I was certainly excited when I was able to first view charts or graphs on my mobile phone, even though I couldn't do anything with it other than just look at a chart. Today, users are asking for more and more when it comes to functionality on their mobile devices, and being limited to only an image of a dashboard in no way meets today's expectations. When you're using Dundas BI on a mobile device, you're actually given unrestricted access to all of the interactivity that you would see on the dashboard, same as on a desktop. This includes revisualization, drill down, drill through, filtering, sorting, real time, even annotations. Dundas BI works and looks the same on desktop as it does on any mobile device, such as a tablet or a smartphone. Many organizations have moved to a bring your own device policy, permitting employees to bring their own mobile devices, such as tablets or smartphones, to the workplace, and even use these devices to access privileged company information and applications. While there are many benefits to a bring your own device policy in an organization, it can also add a lot of headaches to the IT staff. Increased IT costs in terms of maintaining multiple applications, because you don't know what these users are going to bring in and expect to have working. And there's certainly an increased administration cost when dealing with security for these devices. With Dundas BI, we've designed this to be enterprise ready. From management to controls to security, governance, all this is supported by the mobile culture. If you have potentially sensitive information going out to multiple devices of various user types, you need to know that that information is secure. Dundas BI's architecture actually ensures that no data is ever saved on the actual mobile device, so that even if your employee were to lose a device or it got stolen, that sensitive information wouldn't be at risk. Another benefit is actually the fact that all your work is saved on the server and not the mobile device itself, as I just described. But it's useful because if you're working on one device and you want to leave and move to another, all you have to do is stop working your desktop, pick up your mobile device, continue walking, and navigate to the same location, and continue working with what you're already doing. This way you can do your analysis on a tablet while visiting a client, and then continue working on your desktop when you're back in the office. Dundas BI simplifies access management for mobile devices. So you can use the same login and password when you're at your desk to access the data. This is all centrally managed so that your IT department just has to use Active Directory and everything can be managed with one password. This means that security is easy to maintain and basically just gives you one less password to remember from the user standpoint. This is good for you, your IT team, and then you don't really have to worry about managing multiple systems. Have you ever been to a website or used an app with a touch device and found it very difficult to work with? Many application user interfaces that get ported over to mobile devices were intended to work with a mouse and keyboard and not a touch screen. The same considerations need to be made when you're looking at visualizations that were created with a BI product. How are you going to put your mouse over a data point in a chart in order to get a tooltip and read its value? It's just not going to happen. When it comes to mobile devices, you really have to design differently. Dundas BI helps with mobile consumption in a few major ways. Our system automatically detects if you're using a touch device or a typical desktop. On a touch device, it will actually use proper touch events. So the system doesn't actually expect you to do something like a silly right click that wouldn't be possible on an iPad. You do a tap and hold. You'll also see that the buttons have been made touch friendly, so that you're not asked to try to touch the buttons so small that they're completely unusable. One other major requirement from a development team was actually for Dundas BI users to be able to build full dashboards on an iPad. And you'll notice that the design of our designer actually reflects this quite well. Let's talk more about mobile BI considerations. The dashboard that I'm showing now on the screen is in many ways your typical desktop-oriented dashboard. It contains drill downs, brushing to compare metrics, and even some analytical capabilities. The purpose of this dashboard is to provide the user with not only a place to see important metrics, but also to allow them to explore and potentially discover their own insights into what they're seeing. Users can even take this dashboard as a starting point and personalize it by adding new data to the screen or removing elements that might not be in line with their current goals. While it's perfectly acceptable to view this kind of dashboard on a mobile device, in our experience, mobile users are often looking for quick access to view and interact with specific information. The dashboard that I'm showing here on the screen is the same safety dashboard that I just showed you, but this has been designed to work a little bit better on an iPad. So the whole idea is you would open this in your browser and it's just a matter of scrolling. So all the metrics are a bit bigger to make up for a smaller screen size, and you just scroll down to see piece by piece what you needed to see. In the BI world, tablets provide a great opportunity for quickly accessing portable information. The dashboard that I'm going to bring up here is showing a mobile sales dashboard that was designed to help with a mobile sales force that's on the road. To view this, you're basically seeing a My Data view of the dashboard that gives a mobile sales rep an understanding of all of their clients at a glance. And the way to read this is by looking at this dashboard row by row, showing all the important information about each client. So if I start, the second row here that you're seeing is the total spend for each client. You'll notice that I can very quickly see who my most valuable clients are, so where I want to be spending most of my attention. The next metric over is our historical trend. So how much have they been spending and when? This is just an idea of volume. So for this first client that I'm showing, you can see that they have trailed off a little bit in their spending over the last X amount of months. You can see that we have a prediction about how much they're going to spend this quarter and how much they're currently spending. And of course a pacing indicator. So to give us an idea of just how far away we are from our estimate. And lastly, but no less important, when did we last talk to this client? Notice the exclamation marks for some of these. This is highlighting when we last visited clients. So I can see the last visit, and an exclamation mark means that a visit is due. This type of view is really perfect for the type of user who is meeting clients day to day and needs to have a quick understanding of each particular client before they walk into a meeting. If additional information is required, the user could drill down into more detail as necessary. So the vision for Dundas BI is to provide organizations with the ability to give all their users a unified front end for their organizational data. To accomplish this vision, we use a single application for connecting, interacting, and visualizing any data on any device. So rather than consistently switching between disparate systems, which can only do part of the job, typically, with Dundas BI, organizations will have one flexible platform, unifying all their data and all their data sources. The screen that I'm currently showing is the home screen for Dundas BI. This home screen presents a set of common options and is tailored for the user's specific role in the BI process. Users can customize this screen with links to dashboards, reports, which they want to use often. It's this home screen that allows the user a single place to connect, interact, and visualize data. Now let's take a look at Dundas BI on a specific mobile device. You're going to notice that I'm not just limited to working on a desktop. Here's an iPad. You can see I have access to the same functionality. Here's a Microsoft Surface. Again, same home screen. I'm going to rotate this device so you can see that depending on the orientation, everything works. And now I'm going to go in and actually create a dashboard based on an existing template that I already put together. So let's edit that template, resize the screen, and I'm going to take some metrics that are part of an existing dashboard and add them to this dashboard. So there's some marketing metrics about sales qualified leads, some human resource, staffing metrics, and safety. And then I'm going to go and edit or open our data and drag our revenue into a chart, or a grid in this case. Drag date, and actually add a grouping. So I want to see this by product, so to give me revenue by date and by product. And now I'm going to revisualize this data into a bar chart. So using existing metrics or building my own, now I'm going to view the dashboard. Notice the resizing that I told you before, and I full screened it. So this dashboard's finished. I'm going to exit the view mode. I'm going to check in this dashboard, which means you make it available for other users. And now I'm going to go back to the iPad that I dropped on initially. Let's find that dashboard that I just created. Let's go to the correct project. And you're going to see now, here's the same dashboard that I just created on a different device. Again, resizing to fit the specific resolution for this device versus the Surface that I was showing before. Now that you've seen how the same dashboard can be viewed on any device, I'd like to show you what we feel are some of the best practices when it comes to developing dashboards for mobile development. First of all, I want to show you this full executive dashboard on the desktop to prove my point. So to understand this dashboard, it's a true executive dashboard by definition, and it aims to give a high-level understanding of all the key metrics in order to keep your decision makers kind of on the pulse of the organization, always informed. If I were to start on the right-hand side, this top right visualization is basically a status of the different manufacturing areas in our manufacturing plant. So you can see on the top right, it's counting down when we're going to refresh the data next, and tells me right away which areas are not running, which are delayed, and which are fine. You notice how the color is set up to try to draw your attention to the areas that are most critical right now. I've got news feed at the bottom for our entire company. So again, just to have it on one page. And the real meat of this dashboard is the whole section on the left-hand side. So if I mouse over these various sections, each one of these is basically a summary of a single department within the company. So right now I'm on top of the manufacturing department, and you can see that one of the key things that we're looking at right now is scrap cost. So because that's high, you'll notice that there's a marker in the top right telling me with the exclamation mark that I need to pay attention right now to the manufacturing department because we're not hitting our goals. Right? In the marketing department, we are hitting our goals, so I get a check mark. And that's kind of the idea. So it's a high-level indicator just telling me what's going on for each department. If I want to drill into detail for any one of these, I can click on the department, and you'll see that it'll actually navigate me over to a full dashboard summarizing everything I need to know about the department. So this really is a full dashboard intended for desktop use, although there's absolutely nothing wrong with opening this up on a tablet or a phone if you wanted to. But what I'd like to argue is there is a better way. Now let's take a look at that executive dashboard on a mobile device. I've created a dashboard in Dundas BI that will help simulate what I'm trying to describe here. So here's the executive dashboard. When I click, you'll see what this would look like if I were to scale it and see it on a mobile screen like this. And as you can probably see, it's very difficult to actually get a picture of a full metric. Sure, you can scroll around and see everything, but the device size just makes it a little bit more difficult to work with. Now, please don't get me wrong here. You can certainly view a big dashboard like that on a mobile phone like this. It's just this particular dashboard that I'm showing you has so much content that it's just very difficult to work with on a screen. You could scroll it down and shrink it, but then how small are the fonts going to be on these graphs? Are you actually going to be able to read anything? When you're using a desktop or a tablet, it's perfectly reasonable to want to open a full-blown dashboard in order to explore or drill down on your data. But when it comes to a phone, people are typically more interested in just quick information. Here is a simplified mobile version of the executive dashboard that I just showed. You can see how it still captures the same concept of summarizing each department, but instead of detail on every metric, all we get is a summary for each department, so we can see how well everything's doing. Notice how well this fits onto the phone, by the way. For each area of the business that requires attention, we can still come in and click and drill down on areas that we want more detail. I'm clicking on the manufacturing department right now in order to get additional information. Remember this visualization from the executive dashboard that I showed? This is the plant monitoring map that's been scaled down to work on the phone. You can also see that it's still automatically refreshing in real time, just like it was on the desktop. This is some really cool stuff. At this point, I'd like to thank you all for attending our webinar, and I'd like to ask that you maybe keep 3 points in mind when considering a BI vendor. The first, one application, any device. You want to make it easy for your users to access the information that they need, anywhere, anytime. Don't forget to consider enterprise readiness, including security and governance for all your mobile devices. And of course, design for mobile. Don't forget to design your content with your mobile users in mind. Thank you, and now I'm going to pass this presentation over to Roger.
Thanks, Jeff. And thank you, Howard, for joining us today. We appreciate hearing your insights around mobile business intelligence, including the fact that mobile BI continues to increase in importance across all user groups, along with a strong shift in requirements for a much more interactive feature set. Jeff, great demo. Thanks for that, showing Dundas BI mobile in action. It's clear to see that this has been designed for mobile. Easy to use, interactive interface, and again, allowing you to take your BI with you on the go and make real-time decisions anytime. So big thank you to all who joined and helped put this together today. Just a reminder that should you have any specific questions that were not answered today, we'd be happy to follow up directly. Just send us an email at info@dundas.com. And also, just if you look at the screen, we have a variety of options available for people to get a more mobile hands-on experience. For the business user, we have a live demo with one of our solution architects. For the more technical user, a 45-day trial of our software. And for the advanced user, a more comprehensive download. All these options can be discussed with one of our representatives. If questions were not answered, you can expect an answer from us in the next 48 hours. So let's start by taking some questions now, and let's see if those are coming in. Just a reminder to all that you can input your questions directly on the webinar screen there, and we'll endeavor to get a response to you shortly. Thanks.